Hi guys, it's SimLicy here, so welcome to another speed build. So today I am building another family home, and this time I am building here in Oasis Springs, and I'm building a more like mid-century style house. I've done a few of them recently that have been base game only, and so I have definitely been wanting to do one using all of the packs. And so yeah, that's what I'm doing today. And I really just wanted this home to feel outdated. I don't know if it's necessarily set in a mid-century like time period necessarily, because I gave them like a modern television, but that's really the only thing. I didn't give them any, well, there's kind of there's a computer, but it's an older looking computer, I think. I don't know. I just really just wanted this home to feel like it's a modern home, but it's outdated, and it's a really large family home. I ended up including 5 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, which, you know, may not be enough for this many Sims, because the way I decorated it, you could fit 7 Sims in here really easily. And so you could easily fit 8 if you wanted to. But yeah, I don't know. I think 2 is probably fine. There is a laundry room too, so if you really needed another bathroom, you could easily turn the laundry room into another one if you would like to. But yeah, the house ends up being kind of an interesting shape. I was trying to make it look like a split level home. It is split level because I use the platform tool in part of the house. I make a raised area leading to the hallway going to the bedrooms. That's what I'm adding here. This is kind of a weird way of doing it. I don't end up doing it this way because the platform for some reason kept being deleted, and I guess that's because it's a rounded one, and the rounded flooring and rooms and everything just don't work very well. They're kind of broken, unfortunately. But I make it work in the end. I just had to replace it a few different times, but I wanted it to have that like split level appearance, especially from like the street view, and I think it worked out. I think it looks pretty good anyways. And yeah, here I'm working on like the floor plan and trying to figure out how this home is going to be laid out and put together. And I decided to use this room divider that came from, I believe it was Discover University, actually. It's either that or Get Famous, but anyways, I thought this would be a nice like kind of retro kind of 70s or 60s looking detail, and so I used it at the entryway. I was going to use it into like the kitchen area, but I just felt like it was making that look a little bit too busy, and so I just have it there at the entryway, which I feel like works really nicely. And I've definitely seen a lot of homes that are like 1970s homes or 1960s or maybe even 1950s homes that have that like separated entryway with like a half wall and a pillar, and maybe even some of those interesting details like I used with that room divider. Here I'm adding a chimney on the exterior and just bringing the brick up. I thought this looked better than just having the chimney on the roof. And then here I'm adding a couple more bedrooms upstairs. So these 2 bedrooms are the largest in the house, and one of them is going to be the master bedroom, but the other one is going to be a toddler's room. I thought about making it a teen's room because I have 2 teenager rooms and they're both a lot smaller, but I just felt like the toddlers should be next to the parents. And so since it was such a large room, I did 2 toddlers instead of 1. And I think it just ends up being a really cool toddler room just because it's so big. I was able to include a lot of different activities, and it's just really cute and playful. You could easily make one of the teens' rooms a lot bigger because it's downstairs, and you could just make the bathroom or the laundry room a lot smaller, or you could combine the bathroom and the laundry room and make them one smaller room and make the bedroom bigger. So it kind of just all depends on your preference for that, and if it bothers you that the room is a bit smaller. But I was still able to include, I think, everything that I wanted to in that room, and I liked having the laundry room separate from the bathroom, and so yeah, that's why I did it that way. Here I'm moving on to the back of the house, just working on the back porch area. I really liked adding these pillars. I thought they were kind of like a nice detail, and then I just fence in the yard, and I also end up fencing in the front yard, and I used that really low-lying fence that came with the toddler stuff pack, and I used it in a similar red color to the siding on the top right of the house, and so I thought that kind of matched really nicely. It also tied in with the concrete that's leading to the front of the house too, so I thought that kind of, I don't know, just kind of worked nice. It was kind of more matchy, and it also matched the front door too, and so I thought that looked really good. And I definitely brought that color into the interior with like the flooring and especially the kitchen cabinets. I used the ones that came from Parenthood in that same sort of like orangey red wood color. It might be a little bit more orangey than this color, but Anyways, I still feel like they all match and kind of tie together. I also changed the color of the grass, which I thought was kind of fun, and I put some sprinklers out here, which I also thought was kind of fun and pretty cute too. And for the landscaping, I just used mostly greenery, some like succulent looking plants and some bushes, but a few flowers. I used the yellow flowers that you can find in the live edit objects from Cottage Living, and then these nice base game orange flowers that are just in the regular by catalog. I always think these ones look really nice in Oasis Springs, so I thought that looked really good. And then I just used some palm trees and some green trees. I really don't know what those those trees are called, but I thought they looked really nice, especially on the sides of the house, kind of like framed it. Here I'm just picking out some lighting for the interior and some flooring and covering up this weird visual glitch with the raised platform area. It only seems to happen on the round platforms and even round just flooring in general, even if it's on a foundation and not a platform. It's like bringing up the flooring underneath of it, and I really wish it didn't do that. Thankfully, we have some thicker platform trims that you can add and it covers it up pretty nicely. So that ended up working out, but yeah, it's kind of frustrating. Here I'm moving on to the backyard. I do go back into the house in just a little bit, of course. I was kind of stumped on the interior of the house. I actually made a few different attempts on decorating it, especially the living room area, and I was just kind of like not really sure what I wanted to do. So that's it ended up working out because I knew what I wanted to do in the backyard. I wanted to create this swimming pool, and I wish I would have saved the tweet or something, but I briefly saw a tweet on Twitter of somebody using these really nice side tables as a pool frame, and it was so genius. And I just briefly saw it and the tweet like went away. I didn't even get a chance to like it. Sometimes, you know, when it's like updating as you're scrolling and like a tweet goes away, that happened. And so I can't give credit to the creator, but I definitely wanted to mention that just because I definitely did not come up with this idea, and I thought it was so genius. So if you guys know or maybe saw the tweet, definitely let everybody know in the comments, and let me know too, because I would like to tell them how smart they are, because it totally works and it really adds like a different trim to the pool. It makes it look, I think, a little bit more mid-century and a little bit more in this particular like style of home. So I thought it was so perfect, and I was really happy to find out that it was functional, because I was kind of worried that maybe it would block the swimming pool, but I play tested it. My sim got into the swimming pool like perfectly fine. There was no issues, and it didn't seem to cause like any weird like overlapping when they were swimming. Like they were able to like swim around, and there was basically nothing weird. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then over here I'm trying to find some like activities and decorations to put in the side of the yard. I really wanted to leave a lot of grass and have some more sprinklers back here, but I also wanted the area to be fun and functional, and so I added a sandbox with a couple of toys in there. I also have the swing set, and later on I do go ahead and add the toddler slide. You may have noticed I had it out for just like a moment, but I thought that it just took up too much space. But then I saw it again when I was decorating the toddler room, and I really felt like it needed to be included in the build, and I wanted to put it in the room because I thought that would be kind of fun, but it just took up way too much space. So yeah, I ended up putting it back here in the backyard, and then just continuing with the same landscaping that I did on the front, and adding a few decorations here on the back porch as well. And then I add a couple of trash cans and a side gate too. I add a side gate over here, and I just move the swimming pool over just slightly. That way, the Sims could actually walk through the gate and get to this side of the swimming pool. And so I put a few like planter pots over there. Anyways, over here I'm going to add an outdoor dining table, and it's just a 4-seater dining table. It's pretty simple, but I thought it looked really good. I thought this one that is a base game table with the tablecloth, I thought that was pretty fun, and I love the flamingos on it. And then I just put a barbecue over here, and then a few planter pot decorations just to sort of like fill in the space and make it feel fully decorated and pretty cute, I think. And then here on the front porch, I have the mailbox, a light, and then I add another plant decoration. I was going to add this cluster of 3 on the right side of the door, but I thought it would block the mailbox, so I just decided to leave that area open. And then here I'm moving on to the interior and working on the kitchen first. And I decided to start with the kitchen just because I had made my several attempts at the living room and clearly had no idea what I wanted to do. But I knew I wanted to use these counters and cabinets in the kitchen area, and so I thought that I would just go ahead and do this, and it ended up working out so nicely. And for the stove and refrigerator, I'm using these ones that came from Cottage Living just because I felt like they looked the most like retro and outdated. I feel like they really, like this looks like an old style, like 1950s refrigerator. Like my parents used to have one of these, and it really makes me like think of that. So I thought that was pretty perfect. And then here is the dining table. There's only 4 seats again at this dining table. And then I do include a toddler high chair, only one of them, just because I didn't have a lot of space. And honestly, when I was decorating this area, I didn't know I was going to put 2 toddler beds in the house. And then later I do swap out the high chair that I put in here, and I thought about adding another one, but it just felt like it was going to be too crowded. But I think with 2 teenagers and a child sim and then 2 toddlers, there's probably like not many times where they all want to sit down and eat at the same time. Like I'm sure with activities and friends and schoolwork and different things, they're probably not all sitting down and eating at the exact same time. So that didn't bother me too much, but I really like the way this kitchen turned out. I especially liked including that cabinet at the end of the dining table. I was going to include the one that came from Get Famous, just because it's definitely in a mid-century style, but I feel like the items that came with that pack are a little bit more like gimmicky looking and not as realistic as I would like them to look. But I thought the cabinet that I chose actually looked more realistic for like a mid-century style shelf or china cabinet rather. It really looks like an older one to me, so I thought that worked out pretty nicely. And then over here I have a couple of shelves above the microwave. I really just wanted to add more kitchen clutter and decorations, but I didn't want to block any of the counters, so I thought this was a nice way to do it. And then also these little canisters that came from Cottage Living that have like the fruit on them. I feel like they look definitely like some old style like storage containers that you might find at like Goodwill or something. So I thought that was pretty perfect. And then I just add a few other decorations around. I was really wanting to add that hanging plant, but I didn't have a great spot to put it. And then I also have this apple clock, and I was thinking maybe one of the parents is a teacher. And this is really the only reason I thought that is because of the apple clock. And so I really don't have anything else in the house that might say that, but one of them definitely could be a teacher. I don't know what the other one does. I really didn't think too much about like the parents' careers or what they do necessarily. It was more about like the style of the house. So if you guys have any ideas or suggestions, I would love to hear it. But here I'm finally moving on to the living room. So I think why I was getting so stuck with the living room was I was trying to use that long couch that came from high school years, just because I love all of the pillows on it and the throw, and I thought some of the colors might work nicely in this interior. But I could not make it work for like the life of me. So I decided just to use these base game couches. I feel like they're the best couch that we have in game. They're the most realistic looking couch in terms of like the shape of them. I wish we had more swatches. And of course, I wish that we had more decorative pillows. Thankfully, we did get these just like floor pillows that came from the little campers kit. And so I used them, and they're a nice fill-in, but I wish we had more like throw pillows. These ones definitely look like they belong on a bed, but they work, and they still make me happy because they still add that like extra detail that I'm looking for. And I thought in this particular swatch they actually paired nicely with the couch, so yeah, it ended up working out. And then other than that, I just put like a plant around, a couple of side tables with different clutter items. I have this large coffee table that came from Parenthood. And I was going to use this fireplace that came from Parenthood, but I ended up using this one that I think came from Cats and Dogs. But as you can see, I ended up putting a modern TV on top of it. My original plan was to use the debug TV that came from Eco Lifestyle, just because it looks the most old school. I do end up putting that one in the parents' bedroom. So if you have Eco Lifestyle and you want it to really feel like a mid-century like home set in that particular time period, then I would definitely go for that TV instead. But I don't know, for me it doesn't really matter too much. And then other than that, I really just wanted to add like toys around and clutter pieces that really make this home feel like lived in, because there's a lot of kids in this house, so they're definitely playing and adding their like toys everywhere and leaving their clutter and their mess and stuff. So I definitely wanted to have that, and I love the way that looks. And then over here I'm just finding some decorations to put on the walls and the entryway. I decided to use this coat rack that came from, I believe, Parenthood, maybe Cats and Dogs. I don't actually remember, but anyways, it came in like the right wood tone, and so I thought that worked pretty nicely over here. And then I just have a mirror next to the front door, and I was really wanting to use this nice little like hanging bag decoration that came recently with the Everyday Clutter Kit. And now I'm looking back and realizing that I forgot the the nice little decoration that has like the mail sticking out of it and the keys hanging from it. And I totally forgot about that one. So maybe you'd want to include it somewhere in the kitchen, because I don't really think there's a great spot to put it over here in the entryway. And of course, if you wanted to like remove something, that would be the easiest way to put it over here. But I decided to use this nice coat rack decoration that came from Snowy Escape. And for this particular build, I didn't mind the skis too much. I felt like they were kind of fun and added more of that like silly personality to this style of home, because usually I just get frustrated with the skis because they don't necessarily fit the interior, but I don't know, I think this time it works. And then here in the hallway, I just add like a couple of simple decorations. I put some of those little square artworks, and I was thinking those were more like placeholders for like family portraits and stuff that you might want to take in game if you decide to play in this house. And then over here is going to be that laundry room that I was talking about. So as you can see, it's a pretty large laundry room, so you could even make this room a little bit smaller, make the bathroom not even smaller or bigger, but just move it over slightly, and then you could have more room for that one bedroom that I was talking about. Because I don't know, it didn't bother me too much, but it's definitely something I was thinking about, that it could have been a little bit bigger because it kind of felt small. And this mostly has to do with the bed that I wanted to use. I think the bed that I ended up using works really nicely in the room, but I really wanted to use that really cool bed that came from the pastel pop kit that we got recently. So yeah, since it was a double bed, it didn't end up working so well in that room. I wish we would have got a single version of it. But anyways, over here is going to be the downstairs bathroom. So this is the only bathroom on this level, and then there's one on the second level. And so it's going to be the bathroom for all of the kids to share down here and the guests and whoever's, you know, downstairs. But for this bathroom, I basically just wanted it to feel fully decorated. I clutter up the counters with tons of different bathroom items because of course there's 2 teenagers in the house, and I definitely think especially the one that shares a wall with this bathroom uses a lot of makeup. And so I definitely wanted to represent that. And then I'm decorating this bedroom first just because I had a more clear idea of what I wanted to do in it. And so I knew I wanted to use a lot of black and gray and maybe some like blues or reds. I didn't end up using any red. I mostly just used blue as like an accent color. But I really love this room. I think it turned out to be pretty cool. And I ended up actually including some photography equipment, which I didn't plan on doing. So I think this teen is definitely really into photography, and I think they want to do it as a profession. Right now they're in high school, and so they probably are taking like a photography class. Maybe they're in like a club or something, which could be kind of cool. But basically I just wanted to use a lot of black because I feel like there's definitely a lot of teens that like black. And so I basically just tried to find posters and decorations that I thought went along with like the color scheme and the photography thing. And I kind of struggled at the beginning trying to find like posters and decorations. As you can see, I'm adding these ones and trying to find CDs, and I don't know, everything was just too colorful and not really working for me. So I decided just to move on and that I would add those other decorations later, but I found this nice shelf with all of the photography equipment, so I decided that that's what this teen is into. And then I just go back and add a couple of other decorations over there and these nice little skateboards, which I always think are so cool to add in pretty much any teen's rooms. I ended up adding it in this teen room, the other teen room, and the child's room, so there's a lot of the mounted skateboards. And then over here I do have this bookcase. I'm not sure if your Sims will be able to access it, but there's tons of other bookcases in the build if they need to read something. But I liked the way it looked over there in that corner, and I liked having like the boxes and clutter underneath of it. And then it ended up being the best spot for the dresser was right here. And then on top of the dresser, I do clutter it up with a bunch of different decorations, of course, including more cameras and things like that. So I put a camera over there on top of that shelf. And this rug, in case you don't recognize it, came from the pastel pop kit. So it's not pastel, but it definitely is more poppy, and I thought it looked really cool in this room. And this is the computer that I was talking about in this room. So if you wanted it to feel more mid-century, maybe you'd want to get rid of the computer altogether. But I thought this one kind of looked a little bit more old school, and so I thought it looked really good. And then I put a stereo over here. And then I decided to add this action figure, which I thought was something that this teen has been holding onto since they were a little kid. Maybe it was like their favorite toy or something. And I thought it was just kind of like a nice way to tie it into their childhood, basically. And then over here is going to be the kids' room. I ended up loving this room so much. It's probably my favorite room in the house next to the parents' room. I actually love the parents' room, which is kind of surprising because usually it's always a kid's room that I love the most. And so I think it's kind of a tie between this one and the parents' room. But the parents' room, I just feel like I really captured that mid-century feel that I was going for. So you guys all have to let me know if you agree. But in this room, I basically just wanted to match the wallpaper and the rug. And so I used these ones that came from the pastel pop kit with the strawberries and the flowers, and are just so cute. And so basically the entire room was based off of the rug and the wallpaper, just to match the reds and the yellows and make it feel cute and playful. And I think it's just such a fun kids room, and I really just enjoyed picking out the different decorations for it. And I also included some like more activities in here. So there's an arts and crafts table, there's a toy box, and well, a dresser, a bookcase. Again, the bookcase might be blocked because I put a chair in front of it, but again, there's plenty of other bookcases for your Sims to grab books, and of course they could always store them in their inventory. And I thought this bed worked so perfect in here. I love the hearts on it, and it came from High School Years, in case you guys don't know. And I'm so obsessed with the beds that came from High School Years. There's so much variety and so many colors, and I just love them. And the styles of them are really fun too. But over here, I'm just picking out different decorations and adding those skateboards again, like I was talking about. And then there's a nice big stuffed animal that came from the little campers kit. And then I just changed the color of the bookcase to match the room a little bit better, just because I felt like the white was looking a little bit plain. So this is the bed that I was talking about. So for a brief moment, I considered moving the teenager's room upstairs so I could use the larger bed. I could have made it work in here, but I just think the room would have been a little bit more just cramped. And for I don't know, the size of the house and how spacious everything already was, I didn't really want to make this room too cramped. And so I ended up using this bed from High School Years, and I thought the colors ended up actually working out pretty nicely. At first, I thought it was kind of clashing with the rug, but once I added this wallpaper and the dresser, I thought it was kind of tying together pretty nicely. And then I add a lava lamp in here, which I thought was definitely very like 1970s, and then this chair and so many cool items that came with the pastel pop kit. I'm completely like so satisfied with that kit. And like I mentioned previously, when I first saw like the teasers and stuff for it, and like I think like some leaks, I really just wasn't that interested in it. I didn't really see anything that stood out to me, but now that I have it in my game, I love it. I think it's so fun and adds a lot of personality to interiors. So I'm probably going to be using this kit a lot, especially in more teenager rooms. Here, since I sized down the shelf, I was using the platform tool, so the shelf at its original size would cut through the roof. So I just sized it down slightly and just filled in all of the snapping points with a picture frame and sized them down so you can't see them, and just used basically the 9 key and the tool mod to place everything where I wanted it to go, and just filled it with makeup clutter and different sort of decorations that I thought suited this teen's room. And then I just added some artwork and posters that came from High School Years that I also thought worked nicely in this room. And also that new cork board that came from the pastel pop kit too, I thought worked pretty nicely in here. And yeah, I think that room is so fun. And then here I'm moving on to the second floor. So up here, like I mentioned, is the parents' room and the toddler's room, another bathroom, and of course this hallway. The hallway is, I mean, pretty much just a hallway. Here I'm trying to find some wallpaper that matches the wallpaper that I'm using downstairs. It doesn't have the wainscoting, so thankfully this base game one with the white trim worked out pretty nicely. And then here I'm copying over a lot of the items that I used in the downstairs bathroom for the second bathroom, and just trying to make them feel cohesive. I do add a toddler potty in here, and then I forgot to add another one downstairs, but I did do that before I saved it. So there will be another toddler potty, you just won't see it in the screenshots. And in here it has a little bit less clutter and like mess on the counters, just because I didn't have as much space, but also there's just parents and toddlers up here, so there's not the extra like teen clutter that I was trying to add downstairs, because they never go up here. They have really no reason to come up here, so they never use this bathroom. Well, I guess if the downstairs bathroom is being used, then they would come up here, which I'm sure happens probably quite a bit. But anyways, in here, I'm trying to think if I want to add a bassinet and a toddler bed. I did consider that briefly, but I decided just to add 2 toddler beds. And I was trying to figure out what colors I was going to use and how this room was going to come together. It ends up being mostly orange is like the main color, but it has some like blues and other colors as well. But I thought this room just ended up being so fun, and I'm really happy that I made such a large toddler room just because it's so different. And I'm really happy that I made it so colorful. Recently, I've done a couple of other toddler rooms that are more on the colorful side, and I thought they were so fun. So I was definitely happy to do another one. And yeah, in here there's a dresser, large stuffed animals, toy boxes, there's a bookcase and a couple of like toddler sized chairs. Oh, here I found the slide again and I was like, maybe I could put it in the bedroom. I thought that would be kind of fun to have some like indoor play equipment because it's such a large room, but really the slide was just too big. So maybe for another build. But yeah, over here I'm creating the reading area and I thought this ended up looking so cute. And again, as always, I kind of struggle with picking out artwork for toddler rooms. I'm really hoping that when we get the update for the infants, we'll get more artwork that's like baby related and toddler related. Because right now I just feel like we're very, very limited to these few like base game artworks. I decided to use the one art piece that came from my first pet stuff that has all of the like dogs and cats on it. I thought that was kind of cute for a toddler's room, but I don't know. It's definitely not like like my ideal pick, but I think it worked in here. And I also added a height chart, which I thought was pretty cute. And then I add some wall decals just to add some more artwork and decorations, and then a little mirror over here. And that's it for the toddler's room. And then over here is going to be the parents' room. So like I mentioned, I love this parents' room so much. I think it matches the rest of the house perfectly. And I feel like it just feels so outdated. And something I haven't mentioned yet, in all of the bedrooms, I used this shaggy carpet that came from the Pastel Pop Kit. I thought this was so perfect to use in a mid-century style home. It feels like the carpet that my parents still have in their house, except for theirs is like this burnt red color, but it's shaggy, but it's from the 1970s. So now it's kind of like definitely worn and more matted down, but it just feels so nostalgic to me and pretty perfect. So yeah, I just loved this room. But in here, I add another bookcase, a side table, that old school television like I was talking about. And there's also a desk in here. I didn't give them a computer, but you could easily add one if you would like to. And then I just add a few other decorations around. And this is it for the build. So I hope you guys have enjoyed, and I hope you guys do enjoy the screenshots. So thank you guys so much for watching, and please leave any comments or suggestions you have. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.
Tree, the last weekend of summer, the empire at our fingertips, the autumn to discover. If I would have had the worthiness to be the perfect lover, would you stay under the willow tree when I asked if you would be? Would you be? Would you be my Valentine? Would you be my Valentine? Still I lie within a memory, devoted as your lover. You could take my hands and cover your eyes and tell me there's no other. Would you be my Valentine? Would you be my Valentine? Pray to find the right one when the time is right. Would you be my Valentine?